Well, hi everyone, this is Don Smith. Hey, we've just come out of October, and that meant Adobe Max. And Adobe Max usually means the new release to Lightroom and Photoshop. So it's kind of an exciting time of the year. I've just returned from a trip into the Sierra Mountains, and when I got home, I immediately went to my Creative Cloud and downloaded and started playing. And I found really about 15 new improved features or absolutely new features. And I thought what I would do, I'm a landscape photographer. I kind of boiled it down to 5 top new or improved things that I thought I would teach you about today that could help in the processing of your landscape. So this is going to be in Lightroom version 2026. And we're looking at version 15. Excuse me, I had to check my notes. Next week, I'll take a look at what's new and improved in Photoshop for us landscape shooters. But today, Lightroom 2026, let's get started. The first one I want to take a look at is one I was hoping was going to make it into this version of Lightroom, and that's the dust removal. This was you could have accessed this in Adobe Camera Raw in Photoshop, and it was in its beta format, but now it's out of beta and it's in both Adobe Camera Raw and Photoshop and right here in Lightroom. And so I went back to an old slide of mine captured back in 2016 in Patagonia on a scouting trip with my buddy Ron Madra. We did a couple of years, 2-3 years down in Patagonia where we ran workshops. And this was in Chile, in Torres del Paine, and I can remember getting up at like 4 in the morning and having to charge up here. And let me reset everything here, and this is right out of the camera. And you're going to see these ugly blobs of, I don't know what was going on here, but I do remember the wind was blowing about 50, 60 miles per hour. If we would have taken out our tripods, they would have ended up out in that lake somewhere. We're lucky we didn't land out in that lake somewhere. It was really howling. So we pulled the car kind of parallel to the lake, and we walked around on the windward side of the car, so it was pushing us over the hood. And I think this was my 12 to 24, and captured this scene. So what I want to do, I just want to change a couple of things here just to give it a little bit of a better starting point. I'm going to drop the profile into Adobe Landscape and just hit auto. But what I want to show you, and this is what I'm excited about, come on up here to the remove tool. And if you come down here to where it says distraction removal, if that's closed, just click your little triangle, come down to dust, and you can put a little tick mark if this isn't in here on visualize spots. We've had that for years, and I'm going to bring mine up a little bit more. And then this is a real simple tool. You just come here next to apply, and you put a little tick mark in it, and it's going to go through and it's going to pick up the dust. Well, it did a good job, except it didn't see these little smudgy streaks as dust. So one thing I can do is I can come back up here to my little spot removal tool, and I'm just going to kind of brush over all of these and hope that it will figure it out and know that I want to remove that. And look at this. Voila. That's pretty amazing. I've been doing this for about 4 months now, so but I've never tried this slide before until now. And look at that. That's very cool. And now I can go on and just process it and not have to worry about those smudges. I can tell you, when I first got this image and I saw those smudges, my heart sank. And it probably took me a good 20 minutes to go in there and really work just to get those smudges and dust spots out. But look at how well it blended the sky up here. Okay, let's try another slide. This might be more typical, and I'm going to click reset on these. This might be more typical of what we're going to see with just normal dust up in a bright sky. So let me again come into landscape. I'm just going to hit auto. I'm not going to go through and do a lot of processing on these. Let's come back up to our remove tool, and we are going to come down here to dust, click apply, and bang, it's out of there. It's that quick, that simple, and it's usually one of the first things I do after I set my panel up in here and setting on in the tone panel, excuse me. So give that dust a try. It's an AI model. It's really cool. It's very simple. I think our days of having to stress over removing dust, let's take that back, bring it up. Now I can just go on and process the image as normal. Okay, here's one that's been getting a lot of looks as one of the maybe the more major thing that is coming out in Lightroom, and I believe it's in Photoshop. So I'm going to take a picture that I captured years ago back in Sedona, Arizona, when I used to run a northern Arizona workshop where we would start up in the Grand Canyon and go down to the slot canyons in Page, and then we'd finish out in the beautiful Red Rock area of Sedona. And let me reset this because it doesn't look like a lot's wrong with it, but this is now back in its original raw state. Let's do the landscape profile and hit a little bit of auto. And you can see it helped when I hit auto. Let me go back, that it kind of filled in the sky a little bit, but not perfectly. So that's where we can come down now and we can click into the color mixer. And if the mixer is up, typically it's going to look like that. To the right, you have a little tab that says point color. And when you click on point color, the sun is actually coming from back in this area, but this can be one where you can see it's kind of in a wide angle with a polarizer. We tend to get a little bit of splotchiness and unevenness. So what I'm going to try to do here is even out the sky. I don't want this where the sun's coming to be perfectly even, but maybe mellowed out. So I'm just going to drop my point in there, and I said mellowed out. I should have said evened out. Okay. Here's what we used to have under point color. We would have the hue shift, we would have the saturation shift and the luminance shift, but here's the new tool, and that's variance. I found through my testing, if I move it to the right and just watch the sky, it tends to want to make the color more contrasty, right? But I want to smooth that color out. I want it to kind of go over the whole sky. So I'm going to pull to the left. And now I have a lot better, let me take this off and on, a lot more even with the point color. Now, I may want to smooth that out even more. So here was my idea. I'm going to come up under the masking section. I'm going to select just the sky. And sure enough, if you come down, you have point color available. So now I've just restricted it to the sky. I'm going to come back up in here, and there's variance right under hue, saturation, and luminance shift. And we're going to pull that across. And you can even visualize the range. What this tool does, when I put a tick mark in it, it's going to show me when I click on this, well, it should have showed me. I'm not sure if this is working under, doesn't seem to be wanting to work right here, but it would turn this into, oh no, I see it. It's working a little bit different than if I would have just done it over the entire picture. Maybe that's what the masking is preventing. Watch, if I didn't have the mask on there, it would turn what's not selected monochromed, okay? But watch the range up in this area when I pull back. Okay, so it's not going to monochrome. That threw me a little right there because I'm like, wow, what happened to the monochrome? Okay, and then we have all of these as far as hue, saturation, luminance, and I do have visualize range. So I think I'm going to leave that. I could do one more to try to catch this, but I'm going to show you a workaround on that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to add a mask, and I'm going to select the sky, and then right up here I'm going to click invert. I'm going to put a little tick mark, and that selects everything but the sky. Now, if I right-click on that mask and I go to intersect, I can intersect it with any of these, and I'm going to use a linear gradient. And what intersection means is it takes the part of the frame that's already masked, and then you're going to apply another mask, and that's going to create the new mask. So that may sound confusing, but I want to bring in this area of maybe the butte because that was a little hot. And you can see as I pull across with my linear gradient, I don't want to pull too much because it's getting down in here, it's just created this spot. So wherever two selected masks come together, that's an intersection, that creates your new mask. And now I can take maybe, let's say the highlights and bring those down just a smidgen. I don't want to draw attention to it. Maybe the overall exposure. And just to kind of hammer this point across more, let's go without it. This is all the way reverting back to the raw, to what we've done. I'm going to try to do another one here where I'm going to just create another sky mask. I think it's easier just to create the new masks. Invert it, right-click it, intersect it, and I think this time I will do another linear gradient, but I'll come back out of the bottom right corner here and pull that up, maybe just like so. Okay, and then I'm going to just take the exposure down a little bit. And I actually see one more I could do, and then we'll move along. I'm kind of getting out of the realm of what's new. This has always been in Lightroom. And let's go to Select Sky, and remember to invert. And I'll do a whole separate video on intersections and get a little more in detail. I think this is such a powerful tool. And this time I'm just going to come up, and I'm just going to take this down. And this is really kind of a cool way to work around and make masks on your images. Now, I want to do one more. Always one more, right? I'm going to select my sky. Just hang with me here. And invert it. And right-click it. I see one other thing I want to do here. So I'm going to intersect this time with a radial gradient. I want to get this beautiful butte here. And I'm not sure if that's actually called a butte, but we'll go with that for lack of a better term. And what do I want to do? Now you can see I've selected just that big red rock butte area, and I might want to lighten it. And I probably would want to warm the temperature because this is red rock country. And there we go. We've gone from this to this, balance the light, balance that sky, which is really what the variance tool is all about. And I'm hoping to make a separate video just on the variance tool once I've had a little more time to work with it. But I think for now, I've whetted your appetite. I've given you a sense on what it can do. So remember, it is under the general overall setup of all your modules. You just come under Channel Mixer, and it's also in under your masking. Okay, let's move on to something else, and that's the improved landscape masking. What I want to do here, this is another one, and let me get these out of here. And it's now added in the ability to find snow. So let's go and come, it's always the first one in the list here, landscape. It's going to detect the masks for us it's going to dissect that scene. I'm going to add them all. I'm going to build all the masks. There's the mountains, the water, and then the snow. And if I tick these off, you're going to see that it kind of saw that ridge as a part of it. I'll leave it alone. I could subtract that out, but for the sake of moving the video along, I'm going to just click on all of these and we'll work each one individual. So I'm going to click Create Masks. Let's just start up here with the sky. I'm going to take the exposure down a smidgen and then turn that sky back to blue the way my eyes saw it. Okay, let's come down to the next one, which is the mountain. And I think I might want to lift the shadows up out of there and build back in. When we lift shadows, we flatten a scene. So usually shadows and contrast always go hand in hand with me. The next one's the water. That water really looked turquoise turquoise to my eye. So I'm going to take the blue down a little bit, and then I'm going to add some green in to bring in, and that's exactly how that water looked to my eye. That's glacial melt. If you go anywhere where you're working around glaciers, you're going to see that color of water. And then I'm going to actually select the snow, and let's see, I'm going to bring up the shadows a little. No, that's not doing too much, so I'm going to actually just bring the exposure up. There we go. I want that to kind of be the star of the show. And then that is blue, this ice. It reflects back blue light to what our eyes can see. So before, after, whoops, after, I would probably take that blue and I would have painted that mask out to eliminate that, because I don't really like that. But we, for the sake of time, shall move along. Another thing I was playing with and I found is some new landscape presets. And when you think of a preset, just simply think of a starting point for your image. It's not a starting and a finishing point. But let's take this picture, for example, and I am going to come up here to Adaptive Landscape and tick down, and there's 8 of them in here. And if I just hover over, here is Spring 1. You can see the sky gets very foreboding. Spring 2, I like that. That kind of balances the whole scene. But let's just cycle through Summer 1. I don't like that. Summer 2, nah, drains all the color out. Autumn, not too bad. Autumn 2, even better. It brings in a little more of the greenish on those hills, but I don't like what it did to the sky. Winter, no, it made it too heavy in the sky, and Winter 2, still too heavy. So I would probably come up here to Spring 2, and you can see it looks like it's created masks. It has. When I clicked on that, a little bit of everywhere there. I wanted to see if I could find the one for this little area in there, but I'm not finding it right now. Okay, well, let's leave it alone. I could just come down here to the basic panel and just take my highlights down on that a little bit. And yeah, I think that would tweak it. So again, these are not something that's going to bowl me over, but presets for some of you that are maybe new or intermediate to this, and you're struggling a little, this just gets you in the ballpark, and it gives you a little bit better idea of where you're heading. Okay, improved object selection. I really think in Lightroom that the AI models have gotten substantially better with Lightroom 2026. And let's see, let's go into our masks here. I want to actually delete these masks that I had. And let's get back out. I'm just going to, now I think I'll come back here, you guys, and I will go to landscape, and let's just give this a little bit better of a starting point. There we go. Now we're going to click into our masking, and let's go to landscape and see what it detects. Okay, it's going to detect the sky, which is good. I'm going to tick that. It's going to detect the vegetation, which includes the trees. I was wondering if it was just going to do the Joshua trees. That's where this was captured, Joshua Tree National Park. So I'm going to click that, and natural ground, no, that's just that little area behind the tree, so I'm going to leave that. So just 2 masks that I want to create. Really what I want to work on is these trees. And what I want to do is just lift this a little. When I first captured this and worked on this scene, I saw this more as a silhouette. But I got it in here, and I don't want to bring this way up. This is the sunset. I couldn't see the sun. It slipped behind a mountain to the west of me, to the camera right as you're looking at that. And I'm just bringing up just a little bit, and I may even want to come down here and add a little bit of texture. Not too much. I think I'd rather add a little bit of clarity. There we go. That looks better. And take some of that. No, I don't want to. What you have to watch out, and I'm going to back these off. Look at these little halos it's creating. One of these has really created it, so I may not Whoopsie. Let me come back here and I'm going to reset texture too. Okay, let's just leave that be. And I may have pulled up too much. Got to be very subtle, so I'm going to pull back on the exposure. So I just give it a little bit of a lift and possibly warm that up a little bit. And I think that's all it needs, just like that. And there's before, after, before, after. This can certainly have been turned into a very effective silhouette. In fact, if I was to drop the exposure down, that kind of gives you the effect of the silhouette, right? But so you can interpret, your images. You can interpret any way you want. It's your call. It's your art. You photograph. I've always said that's 50% of the process. The other 50% of the process is right here at the computer and how you interpret these images. So I hope this has whetted your appetite for what's in Lightroom. Next week, join me again, and I'm going to take a look this upcoming week as to what's going on in Photoshop. I'm on call for jury duty, sadly, but true. So I may do a lot of research as I'm waiting to be called. I'll have a lot of time on my hands, and we'll put something together for next Saturday. Anyway, from now on, get out there, stay creative. If you're not out shooting, pull out some of your old files, get this new version of Lightroom installed, and keep creating, guys. It's great for the soul. Until next week, you take care.